Every step Glory took toward the staff room felt like walking into danger. Daniel was waiting, confident and cruel, whispering words she never wanted to hear. Just as his hand reached for her, the door flew open. What happened next will shock you. Sit tight and watch a touching story of young beautiful girl. In the small, bustling town, nestled between rusted rooftops and narrow dusty streets, there lived a girl named Glory. To anyone who saw her, she seemed like an ordinary young girl, slender, with bright eyes that carried a sparkle of curiosity, and a warm smile that could melt away the hardest of hearts. But those who knew her well understood that Glory was far from ordinary. She was a child with a gift, an intelligence that shone brighter than the oil lamps that lit their small apartment every evening. Glory lived with her parents, Mr. John and Mrs. Margaret, in a modest two-bedroom flat. The walls were painted once upon a time, but years of dust and dampness had left faint stains. The sound of chatter from neighbors, the cries of hawkers in the street, and the laughter of children playing barefoot outside always filled the air around their home. Life was simple, but not without its struggles. Mr. John worked as a civil servant at the local government office. Every morning, he dressed in his neatly ironed shirts and trousers, though the fabric was worn from years of use. He was a man of discipline and integrity, known for his honesty even in a system where corruption often thrived. His income was meager, barely enough to provide for the family, but he always managed to put food on the table. Mrs. Margaret, on the other hand, was the heart of the family. She sold vegetables at the bustling market. From sunrise until evening, she could be seen arranging her baskets of tomatoes, peppers, onions, and greens, calling out to passers-by in a voice that carried both warmth and determination. Though her hands were often calloused and her clothes smelled faintly of the market, she always came home with a smile, bringing the day's earnings, sometimes big, sometimes small, but always something. Glory, their only daughter, was the pride and joy of the family. From her earliest years, she displayed a hunger for knowledge. While other children her age played endlessly with stones and tires, Glory sat with her mother's lantern at night, reading borrowed books, her lips moving silently as she mouthed new words. Her teachers often described her as the brightest star in the classroom, and her parents clung to that hope, that perhaps, through her, their dreams for a better life would come true. The turning point came one sweltering afternoon when a letter arrived. The paper bore the bold heading of a prestigious secondary school, the kind reserved for the children of the rich, the influential, and the powerful. Glory had been awarded a scholarship to study there. At first, her mother did not believe it. She held the letter in trembling hands, reading the words over and over again, as if they might disappear. "Scholarship," she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "Glory, my child, do you know what this means?" Her father, though usually a reserved man, smiled so wide that day his neighbors commented about it for weeks. He lifted Glory into his arms and said, "You will go there, my daughter. You will study hard. You will make us proud, and one day you will become someone great." Tears welled up in Margaret's eyes as she placed her rough palms on Glory's cheeks. "Promise me," she said softly, "that you will remain focused. Education is the key, and with it, you will unlock doors we could never even dream of opening." Glory, overwhelmed with both pride and responsibility, nodded firmly. "I promise, Mama. I will not disappoint you. I will read. I will work hard. One day, you will look at me and say, 'That is my daughter, the doctor.'" The weeks that followed were filled with preparations. Neighbors pitched in with what little they could. An aunt donated a pair of new shoes, an uncle provided notebooks, and a kind neighbor gave her a second-hand school bag. On the day she resumed at the prestigious school, her mother tied her scarf tighter than usual, kissed her forehead, and whispered prayers of protection into her ears. The first sight of the school nearly took Glory's breath away. Wide gates stood tall like guards of destiny, opening into a compound so vast it seemed like a small city. The lawns were neatly trimmed, the buildings painted in spotless white, and everywhere she turned there were students dressed in neat uniforms. Some stepped out of shiny SUVs and Lexus cars, their polished shoes clicking against the pavement as drivers carried their school bags behind them. Glory clutched her second-hand bag tighter and lowered her gaze, hoping no one would notice how different she looked. It didn't take long for her classmates to notice her background. At first, whispers followed her through the corridors. Some giggled behind her back, mocking her simple shoes and plain lunch packs. A few sneered openly, asking questions like, "Which village are you from?" or Did your parents borrow money to bring you here?" At night, back in their small flat, Glory cried quietly into her pillow, not wanting her parents to see her tears. But in the silence of her heart, she reminded herself of her promise, to study hard, to succeed, and to change the story of her family. Slowly, things began to change. In the classroom, Glory's brilliance could not be ignored. She answered questions effortlessly, solved equations faster than anyone else, and her essays left teachers astonished. The very classmates who mocked her began to look at her differently. Instead of laughter, there was respect. Instead of ridicule, there was admiration. It was during this time that she became close friends with Veronica, the daughter of one of the city's most successful businessmen. Veronica was everything Glory was not, born into wealth, dressed in the latest fashion, and driven to school each day in a sleek black car. Yet despite their different backgrounds, the two girls found a bond that was deeper than material things. They studied together in the library, whispering secrets about their dreams and future. One afternoon, as they sat beneath the shade of a tall mango tree, Veronica asked, "Glory, what do you want to become in the future?" Glory smiled, her eyes glowing with determination. "I want to become a doctor. I want to save lives. I want to make my parents proud. They have sacrificed so much for me. This scholarship is not just mine, it is theirs too. I must not fail." Veronica nodded thoughtfully, touched by her friend's humility and determination. "And I will be by your side," she said firmly. "We will make our dreams come true together." For a while, everything seemed perfect. Glory was excelling, her parents were proud, and she had found a true friend in Veronica. The seed of hope planted in her small town was beginning to sprout. But life, as it often does, had other plans. Something, or rather, someone, was about to enter her life, threatening to shake her world and test the very promises she had made to her parents. The second term of school began with new faces among the staff. Among them was Daniel, a young corps member posted to the school to serve his one-year national youth service. From the moment he walked into the assembly ground for his introduction, he caught everyone's attention. Daniel stood tall, with broad shoulders that filled out his khaki uniform, his beret tilted at just the right angle. His skin glowed under the morning sun, and his confident stride seemed to command respect without him uttering a word. Whispers spread quickly among the students. Some girls giggled nervously, while others exchanged glances, their eyes following him wherever he went. It wasn't long before Daniel was assigned to teach mathematics, a subject feared by many students. But instead of fear, the girls looked forward to his classes, eager for any excuse to be near him. His charm went beyond his appearance. He had a charisma that made him appear friendly and approachable. To the young minds in the school, he was like a celebrity. But Glory was different. When Daniel entered her class for the first time, the girls in the front row straightened their uniforms, some even reapplying lip gloss discreetly. Boys, on the other hand, rolled their eyes at the fuss. Glory, seated quietly by the window, opened her notebook and prepared to write. She was not moved by Daniel's looks or charm. Her focus remained fixed on her studies. During that lesson, Daniel wrote a complex equation on the board, turning to the class with a smile that revealed his perfect teeth. "Who can solve this?" he asked, scanning the rows of students. Hands shot up quickly, mostly from the girls eager to impress him. But his eyes landed on Glory. "You," he said, pointing at her. "Come and solve this." The class turned to look at her. Some students smirked, expecting her to falter. But Glory rose gracefully, picked up the chalk, and walked to the board. Her hand moved with steady confidence as she solved the equation step by step. Within minutes, the answer appeared, neat and correct. The class erupted in applause, some in genuine admiration, others in surprise. Daniel, however, stood still, his eyes fixed on her. A faint smile curved his lips. "Impressive," he said quietly. "Very impressive." From that day, something changed in Daniel's demeanor toward Glory. In the staff room, he found himself thinking about her, how rare it was to find someone both beautiful and intelligent. An obsession began to grow inside him. After class one afternoon, Daniel called Glory aside. "Glory," he said in a friendly tone, "you're very brilliant. I'd like to give you extra lessons, so you can reach your full potential." Glory hesitated. She did not want to appear rude, so she nodded reluctantly. "Thank you, sir." The first few sessions were uneventful. He asked her questions, she answered, and he praised her. But soon, his compliments shifted from her intelligence to her appearance. "You're not just smart, Glory," he said one evening, his eyes lingering too long on her face. "You're also very beautiful. Do you know that?" Glory shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "Thank you, sir," she replied quickly, closing her notebook. "Can I go now? My parents will be waiting." Daniel chuckled. "Of course. But remember, you don't have to be shy around me." Days passed, and Daniel became bolder. During another session, he leaned closer than necessary, his voice dropping low. "Glory," he said, his hand brushing against hers, "I admire you. I've never met a girl like you." Glory froze. She pulled her hand away and shook her head firmly. "Sir, please. I came here to learn. I'm not ready for this. I just want to study." Daniel's smile faltered. "You don't know what you're missing," he muttered, but she stood, packed her books, and left quickly. That night, Glory lay awake in her small bed, staring at the ceiling. She wanted to tell her parents, but she feared they would worry too much. Instead, she forced a smile the next morning, assuring them everything was fine. When she returned to school, Daniel's attitude shifted. He no longer spoke with gentle words but with threats cloaked in smiles. One afternoon, as the class emptied for break, he blocked her path. "Listen," he whispered harshly, "don't play games with me. If you try that nonsense again, you'll regret it." Glory's heart raced. She squeezed past him, but his words echoed in her ears long after. Later that day, during break, Glory remained alone in the classroom. Her friends had gone out, but she had no appetite for food. Tears spilled silently down her cheeks as she rested her head on her desk. The sound of footsteps startled her. It was Daniel. He closed the door behind him, his expression dark. "Why are you crying?" he asked, though his tone carried no sympathy. "Why are you doing this to me?" Glory whispered, her voice trembling. "I've done nothing to you." Daniel smirked. "You're too proud. You think you can just push me away? Let me warn you, if you don't cooperate, you can forget about this scholarship. I'll make sure it's gone. You'll be back in your little flat with your vegetable-selling mother before you know it." Glory gasped, her tears flowing freely now. "Please, sir. Don't do this to me. My parents have sacrificed everything. Please." "You have 2 days," Daniel said coldly. 2 days to decide. After that, you'll lose everything." With that, he left, leaving her trembling and broken. That evening, Glory tried to act normal at home, but her silence betrayed her. Her mother asked gently, "What is wrong, my child?" Glory forced a smile. "Nothing, Mama. I'm just tired." But in her heart, she felt trapped. The next day, unable to carry the burden alone, she sought out her best friend, Veronica. They met in the library, where Glory poured out everything, every threat, every word, every unwanted touch. Veronica's eyes widened with shock. "Glory! Why didn't you tell me earlier?" she exclaimed, gripping her friend's hands. "I was afraid," Glory admitted, her voice cracking. "I didn't know what to do." Veronica took a deep breath. "Listen to me. Don't give in to him. Never. He thinks he can use power to control you, but he's wrong. I'll tell my father. He will know what to do." "No, Veronica," Glory whispered fearfully. "What if it makes things worse?" Veronica shook her head firmly. "Trust me. My father won't let this slide. He's not just my father, he's a man of influence. And this Daniel will regret ever trying this nonsense." For the first time in days, Glory felt a glimmer of hope. She clung to her friend's words, praying that somehow justice would come. But deep inside, she knew the battle was just beginning. The moment Veronica left the library that day, she knew she could not waste time. Her father, Chief Adewale, was not only one of the most successful businessmen in the city, but also a man of influence and authority. He had little tolerance for injustice, and his reputation as a protector of the vulnerable made him respected far and wide. That evening, Veronica found her father in his study, surrounded by stacks of files and papers. He looked up from his work when she entered, his face softening into a smile. "My daughter," he said warmly, "you look troubled. What is wrong? Veronica hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. Daddy, something terrible is happening at school. It's about a teacher, no, a corps member named Daniel. He's been harassing Glory, my best friend. Chief Adewale's expression hardened immediately. Harassing her? Explain. Veronica told him everything, her words tumbling over each other in urgency. The extra lessons, the unwanted touches, the threats, and the ultimatum Daniel had given Glory. By the time she finished, her father's hands were clenched into fists. That man is a disgrace to the uniform he wears, he said in a low, dangerous tone. How dare he threaten an innocent girl? Don't worry, Veronica. We will deal with him. But we must be wise about this. Men like him will deny everything unless they are caught in the act. So what do we do, Daddy? Veronica asked, her eyes filled with both hope and fear. Chief Adewale leaned back in his chair, his sharp mind already forming a plan. We will set a trap. Tomorrow, you will tell Glory to meet him as he requested. But the police will be waiting. Veronica gasped. Daddy, what if he hurts her before the police get in? Her father shook his head. They will not. I will make sure of it. Trust me, my daughter. Justice will be served. The following day was one of the longest in Glory's life. She could barely concentrate in class, her stomach knotted with dread. Daniel's eyes followed her across the room, a mocking smile tugging at his lips as if he already knew she would give in. Veronica whispered to her at lunch. Don't worry, Glory. Everything is set. My father has spoken to the police. They'll be there. All you have to do is be brave for a little longer. Glory nodded, though her hands trembled. I'm scared, Veronica. What if something goes wrong? Veronica squeezed her hand tightly. You're not alone. Trust me. When the final bell rang that day, the school compound slowly emptied. Students hurried out, their laughter echoing as cars honked at the gate. Glory's legs felt heavy as she made her way toward the staff room. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, every step carrying her closer to danger. Inside, Daniel was waiting. He leaned casually against a desk, his arms folded, his smile smug. I knew you'd come, he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. You see, you're not as strong as you pretend to be. Glory swallowed hard, her eyes darting toward the door. I came because I don't want to lose my scholarship. Daniel chuckled darkly, stepping closer. Good girl. You made the right choice. His hand reached out to brush her cheek. You're too beautiful to waste your time on books alone. A man like me can give you more than your poor parents ever could. Glory flinched, her body tensing. Inside, she was praying desperately. Please, Lord, let them come now. Let them come. Daniel moved closer still, his arms sliding around her shoulders. Don't fight it, he whispered, his breath hot against her ear. Just accept it. And then, the door burst open. Freeze, a voice commanded. 2 police officers stormed into the room, their uniforms sharp, their presence commanding. Behind them stood Chief Adewale, his eyes blazing with fury. Daniel stumbled back, his face draining of color. What is this? He shouted. Who are you people? The officers didn't hesitate. They grabbed him by the arms, twisting them behind his back as he struggled. You are under arrest for harassment and abuse of power, one officer barked. This is a lie. Daniel protested, his voice breaking. She wanted this. She came to me willingly. Enough. Chief Adewale roared. We heard everything. Your threats, your words, they are all recorded. Do you think you can destroy the life of an innocent girl and walk free? Not in my city. Glory collapsed into Veronica's arms, tears streaming down her face. Relief flooded her body as the officers dragged Daniel out of the staff room. His protests echoed through the corridor, but no one paid him any attention. At the police station, the case took an even darker turn. As Daniel sat handcuffed, glaring at everyone in the room, 2 female students arrived with their parents. Both girls were visibly pregnant. With trembling voices, they confessed that Daniel had deceived and taken advantage of them too, leaving them in shame and despair. The room fell silent. Chief Adewale's jaw tightened as he turned to the officers. "Do you see? This is not just one girl. This man has been a predator all along." The officers nodded grimly. "He will face the full weight of the law, and the NYSC will be informed. His certificate will be seized." Daniel slumped in his chair, his arrogance gone, replaced by fear. He knew his life was ruined. When Glory returned home that evening, she found her parents waiting anxiously. At first, she tried to stay strong, but the moment her mother pulled her into her arms, she broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. "My daughter," Margaret whispered, stroking her hair. "What happened?" Between tears, Glory told them everything: Daniel's threats, Veronica's support, and how Chief Adewale and the police had intervened. Her parents listened in shock, their hearts aching at what their child had endured. Mr. John, his face hard with anger, said, "That man is a disgrace. He tried to destroy what we have worked so hard for. But thank God for people like Chief Adewale. Today, evil was defeated." Margaret wiped her daughter's tears. "You are strong, my child. You did not give in. You stood your ground. We are proud of you." Glory clung to her parents, feeling a sense of safety she had almost lost. For the first time in days, she allowed herself to breathe freely. Later that week, Chief Adewale invited Glory and her parents to his home. It was a mansion, far bigger than anything Glory had ever seen. As they sat in the grand living room, he turned to them and said, "Your daughter is not just brilliant, she is courageous. She stood against evil when many would have given in. For that, she deserves more than just praise." He looked at Glory kindly. "From today, I will sponsor your education, both here and abroad. You and Veronica will study together, side by side. Nothing will stop you from becoming the doctor you dream to be." Glory's parents were speechless. Tears filled their eyes as they tried to find words of gratitude. Glory, overwhelmed, whispered, "Thank you, sir. I promise I will not disappoint you." Chief Adewale smiled. "I know you won't. The world needs girls like you, brave, intelligent, and unshakable." And in that moment, Glory knew her life had changed forever. The darkness Daniel had tried to cast over her was gone, replaced by a brighter light of hope, justice, and opportunity. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment below. And of course, subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories.